Hello and welcome to Kavish IAS. In this session, we will discuss the 2023 prelims question of geography segment. Not only the discussion of the questions, as well as we will discuss all the related concepts that we require to understand, to comprehend the question. Before going to discuss the things, one thing that is more important for this year prelims, unlike the other year, the UPSC has changed their answer pattern. Not only the statement, they have asked you to answer whether statement 1 or statement 2 is correct, or the number of statements that are correct or incorrect. So no worry, we will be discussing all the questions that have been asked in this year with the proper explanation and proper proof. Let's begin with the first question that came as question number 16 in a particular set. It states, the statement 1, the Switzerland is one of the leading exporter of gold in terms of value, and statement 2, as Switzerland has the second largest gold reserves in the world. Among these two statements, we have to decide which statement is correct, which one is not, or both are correct, both is incorrect, something like that. Now, if we look into the statement 1, Switzerland is one of the most leading exporter of gold in terms of value. It's a correct statement. In recent parallax, if we see that Switzerland is definitely one of the leading exporter of gold in terms of value. It doesn't talk about anything except exporting capacity. But in statement 2, you can see Switzerland has the second largest gold reserve in the world. It talks about the reserve category. But Switzerland is not the second largest gold reserve in the world. If you look into the infographics, that will be come into your picture here. The top 10 country by gold reserve according to 2022 report. Switzerland is the 7th one. So in terms of gold reserve, Switzerland is not the second. Switzerland is the second one nation. Okay, so this is the Switzerland and this is the 7th rank holder. But in terms of exporting gold, in terms of value, Switzerland ranks this one. In that category, we can divide it. The statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. So option C will be the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following countries: Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, and Romania. How many of the above mentioned countries shared a border with Ukraine? That means we have to answer the neighboring countries of Ukraine. Belarus, that is not in option. Poland, that is also not in option. Slovakia, that is also not in option. Moldova, Romania, Crimea, Russia, Lithuania, and Latvia. These are the countries that are neighboring countries, directly shares their border with Belarus, Ukraine, these countries. But here we have to understand that Ukraine is a country surrounded by these nations, not Lithuania, Latvia. So here Lithuania is given, I have marked here that to show you that between Lithuania and Ukraine there is Belarus. So Lithuania will not be the answer. Romania directly shares border, correct? And then we will get Hungary. Hungary also shares border, that is also correct. So 3 and 6 we can see that's correct. Bulgaria, no, Bulgaria is not the country. Czech Republic, that is also not the country. Latvia, this is Latvia, it shares its border with Belarus and Russia, but not with Ukraine. So only two pairs we can find here, only two pairs, that is Hungary and Romania, are the neighboring countries and directly shares land border with Ukraine. It's a question from current affairs, as we know that due to the Ukraine-Russia war, it's an expected question from UPSC in this perspective. Moving on to the next question, with reference to Earth's atmosphere, which one of the following statement is correct? There is no options except this 4 1. So we have to answer on the basis of this 4. The total amount of insolation received at the equator is roughly about 10 times of that received at the poles. Infrared rays constitute roughly 2/3 of insolation. Infrared waves are largely absorbed by water vapor that is concentrated in the lower atmosphere. And the 4th one, infrared waves are a part of visible spectrum of electromagnetic waves of solar radiation. That's a very good question, purely concept based question. Now moving on to the first statement, the total amount of insolation, that means incoming solar radiation, the total amount of sun rays that come to our earth is called as insolation. That helps us to live in the earth, that helps us to create the temperature. But this statement, if we discuss in polar region, due to the slanting nature of sunbeams in high latitude region, that is only 70 to 72 watt per meter square. That is the approx amount. And in case of equatorial region, as we know that the sunbeams are directly upon the equatorial region, that is about 320 to 325 watt per meter square. Now I am using a range because in different resources, in different literature, different research papers, it is mentioned like 70 to 72 or 320 to 325. There may be a particular value that considered 70 or 330 can also be assessed. Now the question is the amount of 10 times. This is not the fair, because if it is 70 to 72 watt and 320 to 325 watt, that doesn't mean it 10 times of pole. It near about 5 times. So on this basis, statement 1 is false statement. We have to identify the correct one. Got it? Next, statement B, infrared rays constitute roughly 2/3 of insolation. Infrared, that is a particular wavelength of our lighting range, and it doesn't consist 2/3 of the insolation. According to different resources, about 49.5%, I'm sorry, 49.5% of total incoming radiation consists of infrared. So it's not 2/3, rather it's the half percent or half of the total. So that is also false in this perspective. Option C, infrared waves are largely absorbed by water vapor that is concentrated in the lower atmosphere. That can be a true statement, because infrared waves are largely absorbed by water vapor. That means the humid condition, the availability of water vapor in our atmosphere makes the temperature high, along with carbon dioxide, CH4 or the methanes. These are the components, and by infrared, the lower segment of our atmosphere getting heated and we get the temperature required for a living being. So that statement is a true one. But the D, infrared waves are a part of visible spectrum of electromagnetic waves of solar radiation. Now that statement is absolutely wrong, because if we look into the statement that the infrared waves are a part of visible spectrum, that is not the true one. If we see, the visible spectrum rises from 380 to 700 nanometer in this range. So this is the visible range, right? And UV ray lies beside 380 and infrared lies beside 700. So in two end of the spectrum, this is the range of the spectrum. So infrared waves are a part of visible spectrum. No, that's not the thing. Visible spectrum lies between these two. Here I have mentioned from 380 to 700 or 690. Someone says 619 also. That is the thing. So infrared rays cannot be a part of our visible spectrum. So in that perspective, option C is the only answer that can be true. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following statement. Statement 1, the soil in tropical rainforest is rich in nutrients. Statement 2, the high temperature and moisture of tropical rainforest cause dead organic matter in the soil to decompose quickly. So the first statement is about the soil system of India. It's a very important chapter to be covered. The soil in tropical rainforest is rich in nutrient. So this is a wrong statement, because whenever we are talking about tropical rainforest region, you have to keep it in mind that in this region there is a bulk of temperature as well as a bulk of infiltration capacity due to over rain. So whenever in any place there is a huge rainfall, then you can see the leaching process, and due to that leaching process, all the material or the minerals of soil's upper layer is infiltrated or is leached to subsurface area. So the soil of tropical rainforest is rich in nutrients. That cannot be a valid point, because all the nutrients, all the components come into the subsoil area. So statement 1 is not correct. But the statement 2, let's see, the high temperature and moisture of tropical rainforest cause dead organic matter in the soil to decompose quickly. Now you have to clarify it that high temperature and moisture in tropical rainforest region. It's absolutely true that in tropical rainforest region there is huge amount of rainfall and temperature as well. And whenever you get temperature and rainfall in a acute manner, in a apt manner, here the decomposition element, that means all the microbes and all the other things that helps in decomposition process, they play their role very well. So dead organic matters can be decomposed very quickly. It's a very good and very evident statements from our daily life. Now let's consider you are pouring something, your excess food, into a dustbin, and just wait for 2 or 3 hours. You will get them as perished condition just because of these bacteria are working on it. They are being decomposed. Just I am giving you an example to understand it well. So geographically, that's a very good point, and that's very true point, that the decomposition is due to the huge temperature and rainfall in tropical region. So statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Sorry, statement 1 is incorrect, but statement 2 is correct one. I'm sorry for my word. Moving on to the next question. Statement 1, the temperature contrast between continents and oceans is greater during summer than in winter. Statement 2, the specific heat of water is more than that of land surface. Now moving on to the first statement, the temperature contrast between continent and ocean is greater. Temperature contrast means the amount of maximum and minimum, which we called as range of temperature. It talks about that the range of temperature is different in different season, in summer and in winter. But that's not a true fact. The range of temperature doesn't change with the change of season, because there's definitely a differentiation of temperature between land and sea, just because of the capacity of land and sea of capturing the heat. If we read the concept of sea waves or the concept of land waves, then it is very evident to understand throughout the year there is a constant temperature in the coastal regions, and due to this we cannot say that the temperature contrast between continent and ocean is greater during the summer and than in the wind. So it's a false statement. It's quite false statement. It's not the right one, just because of the availability of coastal areas that helps to neutralize the temperature difference. So whenever we can find the range, that means the maximum and minimum is minimal, when there is range of temperature is at minimum, then how can it be changed with the change of the season? But statement 2 talks about the specific heat of water is more than that of land surface. That's a true point. Specific heat means whenever you want to make a thing warm, you have to pour more temperature. So in water bodies, we can see the water bodies is heated slowly and radiate their temperature slowly on comparison to the land surface, right? So whenever you can see the land surface, let's consider it a plateau, let's consider it a desert plain, that is heated very quickly, and that's why in daytime we can see low pressure on the land areas. But when the sun is not present, the land area is radiated their temperature very fast on comparison to the water bodies, and that is why in night time we can see low pressure in the land areas and high pressure in the water bodies or in the oceanic areas. That's the difference. It's only due to the specific heat capacity or thermal capacity of water body. So this statement, the specific heat of water is more than that of land surface, that's a true fact. So statement 2 is correct, statement 1 is incorrect. Option D should be the answer. Moving on to the next question. In a seismograph, P waves are recorded earlier than S waves. Statement 2. In P waves, the individual particles vibrate to and fro in the direction of the wave propagation, whereas in S waves, the particles vibrate up and down at right angles to the direction of the wave propagation. So it's a basic question from physical geography. In seismograph, that helps to identify the waves of an earthquake, P waves are recorded earlier than S waves. It's a true point, because P waves means primary waves, and they are called primary waves just because they find in the seismograph as first instance. So that statement is true. Now if we look into different waves, so this is P waves, and now you can see easily that whenever P waves proceed, the components, the material or the molecules, they move to and fro. They move towards the movement of the waves, and in case of S waves, that movement is on up and down segment. You can see that portion, you will understand it well. Just look at this region, ups and down, up and down, that is occurring in case of S waves. So the statement, it talks about in P waves, the individual particles vibrate to and fro in the direction of the wave propagation. That's true. Whereas in S waves, the particles vibrate up and down. I have also make you understand the propagation of these two waves through diagrammatic representation. So that is also a true fact. Both 1 and 2 should be the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. With this, we will move to the next question. Consider the following pairs, whether they are correct or not. That means you have to answer which pair are correct number of pairs. Cepheids. Cepheids are stars which are brighten and dim periodically. Cepheids are the stars which brighten and dim periodically. Nebula or nebulae, that's the giant clouds of dust and gas in space. There is different theories of nebula's origin, and whenever we talks about Earth's origination or Earth's origin, nebula hypothesis is a very important hypothesis to understand how our Earth has been generated. So in two options, 1 and 2, we can see none is matched correctly, just crisscross way. They are being matched in crisscross way. So the left one is pulsars. That is the neutron stars that are formed when massive stars run out of fuel and collapse. That's a true fact. We will go with only one option. Now, if we want to understand this, how did occur? Now, the stars are self-illuminating heavenly bodies, right? They have their own fuel like hydrogen and helium gases in their core to make them enlightened. Now the thing is, after a particular time, the fuel get exhausted, and on that time they are being started to dim. They are being started to reduce in their size, and in that way, whenever we can see in that way, the neutron stars became, and they are the part of a large star called as pulsars. When the neutron stars from started to decrease in their size and their brightness. Okay, so that is called the pulsar stars. Moving on to the next question, there is also three statements and we have to answer which statement is correct or how many statements are correct. That is the differentiation. This approach of UPSC is different from the rest of UPSC prelims till date. Jhelum River passes through Ular Lake. That's a true fact. Jhelum River passes through Ular Lake, and Ular Lake gets water from Jhelum River. Jhelum is the most important river of Kashmir Valley, and if we see that Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beej, Satluj. Jhelum is just in the eastern segment of river Indus, originated from Verinag in Kashmir in Pir Panjal range. That's also an important fact, Verinag. So statement 1 is correct. Krishna river directly feeds Koleru Lake. First of all, not only Krishna river and Godavari river also there to feed Koleru Lake, but not direct way. By anabranching of their rivers or by branching of their rivers, they feed the Koleru Lake. It's true that the water from Krishna and Godavari come to Koleru Lake, but not in a direct way. But here we can clearly see it is typed as directly, so that statement is not correct. Meandering of Gandok river formed Kanwar Lake. Kanwar Lake is in Begusarai in Bihar, and that lake is formed due to the meander of Gandok river, and from that it is formed Oxbow Lake. So in this perspective, that can be a true statement. So 1 and 3, that means only 2 statement is correct. Option B will be the correct answer. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following pairs. Some ports are there and why they are well known, that have to be matched. Kamrajar Port, first major port in India registered as a company. That's a true fact. Barely factual question. That's a true statement. Well matched. Mundra Port, largest privately owned port by India, and that's also a true fact. Visakhapatnam Port, largest container port in India. That's not a true one. Jawaharlal Nehru Port Trust, JNPT, in Navi Mumbai. In Navi Mumbai, that's the largest container port in India. So 2 statement, only 2 pair is correct one. Moving on to the next question. Consider the following trees: jackfruit, mahua, and teak. How many of them are deciduous trees? That means how many of them leaves their leaves at a particular time period of the year. They shed their leaves. That's why they are called as deciduous. So in this perspective, mahua and teak both comes under deciduous pattern, but jackfruit is kind of evergreen trees. So as simple as that, only 2 pair is correct. It's a bare factual question. You have to understand, you have to keep it in mind the vegetation characteristics of the nation of our India. Only then you can go for the answer. Moving on to the next question. India has more arable area than China. Now the first statement, if we don't know what arable area is, we can't answer. Arable area means that is competent to be cultivated. The areas where you can cultivate something, that is called as arable areas. So in terms of arability, China is occupying only 120 million hectare area. Okay. India, in terms of availability of land, 156 million hectare acre. So India has more arable area than China. That's a true statement. The proportion of irrigated land area is more in India as compared to China. In terms of irrigation, China has only 41% of total area under irrigation. India has total 48% area under irrigation. So this statement is also true. Now the question comes that why India has this sort of much more irrigated areas. Now you have to understand that India is purely a monsoon generated country. India is purely based on the monsoon. India is purely based on monsoon for its agriculture. Now if monsoon is not active in its proper way, it will disrupt the entire fabric of our Indian agricultural system. You have to understand one more thing, the man-land ratio for India. India, by means of land, has only 2.4% of lithospheric area. But in terms of population, you can see about 17% roughly occupies in India. So this huge human pressure on agricultural land will be problematic if rainfall is not in a proper way and whenever it is based on monsoon. So in El Nino year there is no monsoonal rainfall. So how can the people be fed? And that is the main reason behind the irrigation practices in India. So that may be the reason upon which this huge percent of land comes under irrigation. So two statements are being discussed very well. Now the third statement, the average productivity per hectare in India agriculture is higher than that of China. That's not a true fact. China has a production of 4.7 million hectare per area or 4.7 ton, not million hectare, that's a different thing, ton per hectare, but India has 2.9 ton per hectare. So that is why this statement is not correct. Only two pair of statement is correct. Now I will say you sorry for that thing, that this statement, whatever I was being discussing, that the prominent answer will be ton per hectare, not area only on the basis of million hectare area that I have mentioned is total land area. So I hope, my dear students, you got understood what is the main motto of that type of question, that you have to understand all the perspectives, right? You have to understand why irrigation is needed, why agriculture is needed, and only then you can answer it properly. Which one of the following is the best example of repeated falls in sea level giving rise to present day extensive marshland? Now first of the thing is falls in sea level. If you know in which part of India you can see falls of sea level, that means emergence of land, you can completely understood the answer. In India, in the coastal length, we can see some part are submerged and some part are emerged. And these submergence or emergence occur due to the rise and fall of sea level. When the sea level rises, then the coastal area is being submerged. Like this way, the water comes to these land areas, but when the sea level falls, the area became naked. That is the emerged coastal region. And in Kutch region of Gujarat, if we talk about this region, that is the thing that I want to make you understand. So in this perspective, we can clearly see The Kutch region will be the prominent answer. The Kutch region will be the prominent answer for this question. Okay, so that is the thing I want to make you understand. Don't. Okay, so just give me a minute, please. That's something technical glitch in my system, and I want to continue the class. I'm requesting you to wait for a while. I'm sorry that that's a problem in the system, so I would like to request you for some moments to wait. I will resume the class. Please hold on. Okay, so the problem has already been minimized. I'm extremely sorry, my dear. So we will start from where we live. So here we were discussing about the emergence and submergence of the coastal region, and if you see the question, it's asked you that repeat falls in sea level. That means here they are talking about emergent coast, right? Emergence of coast, and in Indian parlance we can see the coastal region of Gujarat that comes under emerging coast. So option A or B or C or D, that means option D, Run of Kutch, is the prominent answer. Now Bhitarkonika mangroves is located in Odisha. That's a point of different crocodile and olive ridley turtle. Marakkam salt pans, it's located in Tamil Nadu. I have mentioned in the map. And Naupada swamp, it is a part of Andhra Pradesh. So that is the thing. This is Bhitarkonika from Odisha region. This is Tamil Nadu's Marakkam, and in this portion Naupada is located. Next question, ilmenite and rutile, abundantly available in certain coastal tract of India, are rich source of which one of the following? That is aluminium, copper, iron and titanium. All the things are related to titanium. Moving on to the next question, about 3/4 of world's cobalt, a metal required for the manufacture of batteries for electric motor vehicles, is produced by. All the 3/4 of world's cobalt is produced by the Democratic Republic of Congo. As per the latest database, 1 lakh ton per year are being produced by Congo alone. 6,000 ton per year is produced by Russia. Stands second. There's a huge difference between the two countries. The answer will be option C. Next question, which one of the following is a part of the Congo basin? Cameroon comes under the Congo basin. If you look into the world map, that will be very much evident and that will be very much clear to you. Cameroon is the country that comes under Congo Basin. Next question. Amarkantak Hills are at the confluence of Vindhya and Sahyadri range. So the statement Amarkantak Hills, it is located in Madhya Pradesh region or in the mid-Indian nations. So it cannot be a confluence. Sahyadri, that means in the Western Ghat and Vindhyan range. Okay, so if you look into the map, that is the Vindhyan range. Vindhanchal, Vandar Hill, Kaimur Peak, that's way. So the statement 1 is absolutely wrong statement. Statement 2, Biligiri Ranjan Hill constitute the easternmost part of Satpura range. Now if you see the Satpura range, that will be clear that Moikal Hill is the easternmost part of the Satpura range. Satpura, Mohadev and Moikal. So Biligiri Ranjan Hill is not the part of Satpura range. That is also wrong statement. Statement 3, Sisachalam Hills constitute the southernmost part of Western Ghat. Now if you look into the map, Sisachalam Hills is a part of Eastern Ghat. And the westernmost Ghat, Western Ghat, the southernmost point is Cardamom Hill, and to the south of Cardamom Hill right now in this portion there is Nager Koyal Hill. So the southernmost peak or the southernmost hill region of India, if answered, Nager Koyal Hill will be the correct answer. So according to the options, we have to choose option D because all the 3 statements are wrong, and here I have proved, I have make it understand why the statement are wrong in their parlance. Question number 100, that was in set of UPSC question, which reference to India's projects on connectivity, consider the following statement. East-West corridor under Golden Quadrilateral project connects Dibrugarh and Surat. East-West corridor is connecting Silchar in Assam to Porbandar in Gujarat. So the statement is absolutely wrong. Dibrugarh and Surat is not the correct answer. Trilateral highway connects More in Manipur and Chiang Mai in Thailand via Myanmar. Okay, so that statement is also wrong because More to Thailand is not the true fact. Myanmar comes in between, and in Thailand where the place is completed, the trilateral highway is completed, the name is Mysore. So that is also a false statement. Number 3, Bangladesh, China, Myanmar, India economic corridor connects Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh with Kunming in China. That is also a false fact. That is not in Varanasi. That is from Kolkata in West Bengal. So statement 3 is also incorrect. Answer will be none because both the statements are incorrect. So that was the question discussion. I hope it will help you a lot to understand that from which perspective the question has been asked and all the things that you have to read, the maps, the diagrams and the concepts. That is very much important to satisfy the answer of the question because there is a certain change in question pattern and the approach they are using in present day, irrespective of factual question, irrespective of purely current affairs related question, they are asking some conceptual question also. I think that session will help for this perspective also. I would like to request you to comment below in the comment section whatever you feel about the class. If you requiring previous year questions of UPSC to be discussed in such a way, I will definitely try to make this happen. On this note, thank you everyone. Have a good day.